Welcome to the Underpowered podcast, a gaming-centric podcast where even when we are busy, we still find time to game and do everything around gaming. I am your host, Shelby Stokes, and over here, Mr. Phil Karen. What's up?
Hello everyone.
It's a dynamic duo tonight. We are rocking and rolling.
Well, I mean, I think that we should just jump right into it because you know what I'm gonna say because you played some. Was it last night? Was the Fortnite?
The Fortnite. I played the Fortnite, got a victory royale like a boss, did a Kamehameha on a fool. I went hard on the Fortnite.
So you were feeling a little bit of motivation from my session from the weekend to get in there and kind of like put these children in their place, I think.
You fully inspired me to get in and do the Fortnite. I had my knee pads on, my helmet. I even had some elbow pads. I was ready to rock, man.
You're on a good roll because you have recommended a few things to me, I think, and It Takes Two was phenomenal, and you and I will definitely go back and we'll finish that at some point on stream. But it was so much more fun than I had remembered it being.
Okay, so Fortnite is what you're talking about,
yes.
Right? Yeah, so Fortnite is crazy good. It's crazy good. What happened? I played it before. I tried it like moons ago when it was like, this is the greatest game ever. Everyone's playing it. Look, Drake is playing with Ninja. And I tried it. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, did you have a similar experience back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, for me, well, look, I think that it's... the no build mode is just everything that we need it to be, right? Yeah. And it's a sign of a game. I was trying to think about why it was so fun for me. And I think the reason it was so fun is because like my KD is normally like 0.3 and I have the screenshots to prove it. So it means I'm dying a lot. And the first game I played, I jumped in and I started getting kills straight away. And I think that they really messed around with their time to kill because, you know, in Apex, right, it's such a team-based game, and so you're just shooting shields all day long. If you guys are all looking at different people, the time to kill is so long, and on Warzone the time to kill is so low that you just jump in and immediately land and you get killed. But whereas with Fortnite, I put up, I think the best game that I put up during one of the trio matches was a 10-kill game, and I was like, what is going on? This is not like me to be putting up these kinds of numbers.
Dang, you went off one night. Like, I know that you were going crazy on some of this stuff. Like, okay, so first of all, it was like a 4-hour stream at one point, right? Which was like insane. And then on top of that, you were like mopping fools.
Yes, I was. So I did 2 hours and then I took a break and then I came and did another 4 hours and then I did another 2 hours the next day. So I got about 8 hours in, and it was really fun. I might institute like a Fortnite Friday or something now that I'm doing some different games and doing some competitive games. It was really that much fun because I felt like I could get kills. And I think that when you're in a game and you don't feel afraid to jump in and actually get in the action and you don't have to camp the entire time. It's like I was just getting in there. The guns feel really good. The DMR, I was making comments multiple times during the stream that the DMR kind of reminds me of the old battle rifle from Halo. It's like you're just like the way that it sounds and the way that you're hitting your shots, and there's very little recoil. So and then I had a buddy of mine jump on and we played trios, and he knew way more. He's young and he knew way more than me about what was going on.
Was that the Silent Man?
Yes, and he's a coworker of mine. He's like 20, really calm, cool guy, and he just knew everything about it. I could tell because he was level 100, and he was like, "Oh, you got to just do this, and you ride the fish, and you go over here, and you get the lightsaber, and you did right." And I'm like, "Oh God, this is so much. This is so much." But man, I had way more fun than I thought that I was gonna have, and now I definitely will be playing it probably more. For sure.
What do you think is the most surprising about it for you?
I think the pacing of the game is really good. You know, I think that the difficulty that you have with BRs, right? And this is something I think back to 2 years ago when Warzone first came out. So when you play a BR and it's you versus 100 other people, or however many, 150 or 75 or whatever it is, the natural tendency is to camp. And to hide because you're playing against 99 other people, and the odds that you're going to get killed is really high. So when Warzone came out 2 years ago, they solved that philosophical problem, and the way that they solved it was um, through different bounties and objectives. Right, you land and you go get, and there's these massive rewards that you get for going out and like exploring the map. And Fortnite and Apex have kind of taken that a step further. Well, Apex has taken it a step further, and Fortnite has taken it way a step further. The every square inch of the map has a different thing going on. Like for instance, there was one section where you got to do, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you can do like a obstacle course. Like
No.
so there's like a bunch of lights on the map and you have to run around as Goku and like beat the time and you get an objective for completing it. And it's just randomly on the map, like in some of these hills. And I was like, I really don't want to do the time trial, but it was easy enough for me. And I just did it. I was like, oh, so all that dopamine, you know, is just
Yeah.
going. And you'll walk through and you'll see berries and you're like, oh, I can do this. And I made the joke that some people got and some people didn't like, that everything feels inflatable. And I was thinking about it, and it makes sense to me because the game is kind of supposed to be about like a party.
Mhm.
And so then you have all these inflatable toys that you can play with at the party. But the way that you just bounce off of stuff and jump around, it feels very forgiving. Although I will say that I did not remember that this had fall damage. So I was used to playing. I
I
was used to
saw
playing
that. I saw
Apex
that.
and 50% life.
Is,
Yeah, Illegal was with us, and we got a three-peat, so we got back to back to back, and then on our wins, and then
dang.
our fourth our fourth game we took fourth. So, and we just made one mistake, and if we hadn't made that mistake, we probably would have gotten four in a row. So it was it gave me some of the old excited vibes of like when you're playing a game and it's going really well, and you're like, dude, I could play this for like
Yeah.
8 more hours.
You could. It's like nonstop. Dizzle's asking if we're commentating on the gameplay. Yeah, totally. Like we're going back and talking about this Fortnite extravaganza that Phil went on. He's got the itch, man, and I see why. I think the reason that I am so impressed with this game compared to Apex, and I played Apex for a little while, but I got to a point in Apex where I would drop, gear up, not get a kill, and then get murdered. And that was like the rinse repeat. And it would be like 20, 30-minute sessions, not too long. Love the gameplay, or I love the character movement in Apex. But this makes me feel as if I'm just hanging out and having a good time. Like we literally just hung out, Dr. Z and I, in this map for an hour, and it felt like 5 minutes. Like we got in a few firefights. At one point, he was chasing somebody around with a boat. Like it was goofy, over the top fun. And I am... One of the notes that I have to cover later, but I think I'm going to bring up now, is I'm fascinated with the fact that this game is popping off for like our generation now. Like it feels like it's so late in the game to be coming to this, because it felt like it already hit its hype. Drake already did his thing, and now we're like back, and now people our age are like, oh, did you hear this Fortnite thing is good? And I'm just baffled that it's being like reintroduced into conversation right now. Like I think there's going to be a lot of conversations at the end of this year with different outfits that are discussing this as a game of the year contender, because it brought me in after being somebody that like wrote it off completely, and I'm just like, nah, maybe I should play some Fortnite instead of anything else right now.
Well, I mean, the marketing on this is brilliant, right? Because look, they're using Dragon Ball Z, so they know like Dragon Ball Z is for our generation, right? It's like 35, like 32 to like 38 is the prime. Like every like young kids, 16-year-olds don't know what Dragon Ball Z is. Like they don't know who Goku is. So like their marketing right now, like combined with the fact that they are just being adaptable. And I had made a mention in another podcast, right? That another episode that we had done where I had said the future of BRs was going to be this scenario where there's all this different interactivity on the map. So with Apex, right, you can drop in and you can land on a ship and you can fight all, like in this little mini game where you fight all these guys and you get this cool gear. With Fortnite is everywhere. There's like dance parties going on. You can do the shark. You can like the campfires. There's all these little things to explore and open. And it just like, it feels, yeah, it feels like they gave this game an overhaul and it feels super fresh. Like I am thinking about it now. Um, it was, it was very, very, very satisfying and very easy to pick up, right? Like you saw me on my first couple games, I had no experience with the map. I had explored nowhere in 6 years. And I was able to drop in, understand the mechanics of a BR, and jump right in, and not to your point, not drop in for 20 minutes, get killed, wash, rinse, repeat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually so I know you're not going to choose like this one or Apex, but I honestly, after watching you play, you're much more about like, oh man, I got 7 kills, and that's like not the way I've been playing these games. I'm like, I'm just going to try to survive for the end and not get killed. You know what I mean? Like if I get 0 kills and then get 1 at the end, like I'm happy. Like I'm here for the win. You know what I mean? So it was cool to see somebody that's more like focused on the KDs rather than like getting to the end, and that you're enjoying this, because I kind of thought you were going to be like, okay, I get it, but the shooting in Apex was better. I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because illegal can quote you this in the chat, which is that he is a much better. Yeah, exactly. This is what always happens. So here, the backstory behind this comment, just so we're clear, which says I'm going to get really good at this game, and Phil will move on to another game, is that I was getting real tired of Warzone for the same reasons that all of us were getting tired of Warzone, for the same reason people get tired of Apex, which is dropping in and like getting killed right away. So I tried turning illegal here onto Apex, and he slept on it for 2 years, and now he's finally into it, and I'm not interested in it anymore. But even though I'm not that good of a player, I always have a lot of fun. Just I want to get in conflicts, right? Because once you win, and you kind of get it, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, I won. But then when you start getting like the other night, the last game I played at the end of 8 hours of playing this game over a weekend was like 6 kills, 7 kills, and then you were feeling right. You got that feeling about just like getting, and you're engaged and you're wreaking havoc, and then you go, this is fun, and also you're just wrecking a bunch of little kids. So I mean, what are we actually talking about here in
What are we actually
reality?
doing here? We're actually making it happen. Yeah, I'll say, and I know we should probably move on from this game, but I will say, like at the end of your 4-hour stream, I come home, it's 11:30 at night. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat. Okay, I go to bed after a show, and I get upstairs, and I'm like, Underpowered's live right now, and I turn it on, and it's 12:30 at night, and you're like, okay, one more match, Shelby's here, one more match, and it felt like you did that 3 times. You may or may not have.
Yeah, I felt so pumped that you had joined the stream at the end of the stream, and I was having a really, really fun time. Although I was getting, like I said to you, I made the joke that I played that game until my cheap $10 ring light like used up the entire battery pack, and I didn't even bother swapping it out because I was so engaged with what was going on. Yeah, this was a big surprise for me, to be honest with you. It was a big surprise.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The other game that you and I got into that you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier is It Takes Two. And this is a game that I've been trying to get to and play for a hot minute. And it turns out I've had some trouble getting to it because it's kind of hard to sync up with somebody else to play. We log into play. It took us 45 minutes to get all our assets downloaded, and then we launched in. What are your thoughts on It Takes Two?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, we only played the game, right, for 15 minutes, but the level design it kept me guessing. We played that mini game right away, which you immediately yelled out Zerg Rush upon beating me at a tank
The
game.
head game,
Um,
baby.
and the level design was really cool. It was challenging enough, like because sometimes with these platformer style games, especially games with 2 players, the mechanics can be really easy. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, every single room, we just got to run over and push this button. But it was interesting. It wasn't always easy to figure out. It was challenging for me as an adult. And I thought, like, I still feel excited to play that game with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is kind of one of the reasons that I'm constantly going back and playing games that like wouldn't necessarily be on my radar is because I heard about this game and I'm like, okay, is there actually merit here? And after playing the little that I have of this game, there is merit. Like there is a reason that this game was in a game of the year contender mode back in last year. So I'm excited to play more. I know it's a little bit challenging to get two people together and sit down and play, but yeah, I'm excited to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I think it was definitely underrated. I mean, I guess it wasn't underrated, but it was underrated to me because I had never even heard of it. This was how I felt about the Uncharted games. I don't know if you've played them, but I slept on those for a long time. And then a buddy of mine was like, dude, you really got to do this. And I finally did it. And I was like, oh man, I've been sleeping. I'm such a hater. I've been sleeping on this for so long that it was really worth it. It was super, super cool.
So did you go back and play all the Uncharted games?
So I only slept on the first one for a while, but I
Yeah.
have played all four. I beat
Okay.
all four. And it's one of those things where they should just be done, right? Like we have this bad habit in movies and in the gaming world where every character needs their own spin-off. And like, look, man, some characters are just not that interesting, and like they don't need a spin-off title. Like you told the story that you needed to tell, and we should just put this one to bed and just have there be four. And like there's a series that and here's a question for you. What series do people love that you're kind of a hater of? So I'll give you mine so that you don't have to be thrown under the bus. Mine is the Assassin's Creed series. So lots of people love that series, and I've been a hater for a long time on
Oh,
Assassin's Creed.
oh my gosh, you came to the right place because I will win you over on Assassin's Creed.
Oh, please.
Assassin's Creed is so good. It's just an action-oriented romp through whatever time period they choose, which makes it magical. Some of the gameplay is horrible. Other games have better gameplay. So if you got a bad game that you tried, I can understand why you'd be like, meh, maybe not.
I think back to the first game when they were the very first game. And
Oh
then
my
I
gosh.
remember that the mechanic was pretty much you go into a town and you climb on top of everything over and over and over again and jump off into the hay bale. And then finally there's a mission and there's like three different ways to kill somebody. And I was like, I got through the second city and I was like, and I started realizing you're gonna have me do this over and over and over and over again. It's like I make a joke about this, but it's like the musical Cats. I don't know if you've ever seen the musical Cats, but
No, I refuse. After your review of that
yes,
musical, I will never
all
see it.
all it is just a bunch of different cats introducing themselves for the entire musical. That's it. There's nothing else. And it's like, am I just gonna have to climb this entire time and jump off of stuff for 10 hours, 20 hours? I'm not doing it, man. It's not worth my time.
Yeah, no, I Assassin's Creed, I have always been a fan, but there was a time where it got too repetitive, and then I would try them out and be very disappointed in a couple of those releases. Like there was a
Yeah.
handful there, especially early. Valhalla was high on my game of the year list. I think it was last year, the year before. It was the year that I played it, not necessarily the year it released, but it surprised me. It was pretty good. It was long. It was a slog. Like the main story was too long. It overstayed its welcome. Like I'll give you that.
Yeah, the way that you describe it sounds so amazing. I feel so enticed to try it.
Dr. Z loves AC Valhalla. I don't know if you've ever got him started on that one, but he will talk you into it.
If there was anybody that could convince me, it would be Dr. Z. But
Okay.
I highly doubt that that's the case.
For me, like something that a series that I normally write off would probably be Final Fantasy. Um, I don't know what's going on. The title is the same on every game. None of the do they ever correlate? I don't know. It's always a teenager with a lot of feelings that has to have a coming of age story. At one point, they had a car a couple games ago. That was novel. That's about all I know. There will be a chicken that you will be able to ride eventually. Hashtag Final Fantasy VII.
This is the perfect response for you because it just fits so perfectly. It's like the statement that I made on my last day of playing Chrono Trigger, which look, we finished it. We did. We saw end credits on stream, and overall I enjoyed my experience. I won't be doing it again for a while, but I did enjoy my experience. But it's like Yep. Angsty kid finds his friends and then battles God. Every single time at the end of the game, it's always something that manifests itself into the creator of the universe in every Final Fantasy. So you're not
So,
missing anything.
so that's a good segue. You finished Chrono Trigger. The entire saga is on our YouTube page. I
Yes.
uploaded all of it. I'm now out of upload from Comcast. They're not allowing me to upload anything else. I can't even send an email after uploading what is 25 parts of Chrono Trigger.
That's
25
so
parts.
Yes, that was a long JRPG July. Now, to be fair with you, it did motivate me to get up and play in the morning and start getting up every day and streaming in the morning. And I didn't start that right away in July. But to be fair, um, but to be fair, um,
There's a
I put
wild
in
wife.
25 episodes. 25 episodes of Chrono Trigger, and I felt like it was never going to end. There was a point there where, like, I remember asking Casey, I'm like, dude, how many? And then especially on the last couple of days when I was really trying to push through it, and like you have that friend, right? And we love Casey. Shout out Casey. I know that you're busy today, but you're like, oh, how many hours do I have left? It's like, oh, it's only 2 hours. And then I'm like 4 hours in, and I'm like, there's no end. And then I get through like 6 boss battles in a row without a save point, and they're all like 20 minutes each, and I'm exhausted and I'm sweating, and I'm sitting there going, dude, where is it? Where's the final form? Can we just stop evolving and just give me the final form so I can finish this game? But
So it got a little long in the tooth. I have a story in that same vein. But where do you land? Is it a skip it? Is it buy it?
oh no,
Try it?
it's 100% play. I like to joke on RPGs because listen, I'm just past that point in my life, right? Like I'm past that point in my life where RPGs are the primary, RPGs are the primary thing. I like to play competitive games. I like to play real time strategy. I like to play something that has intensity. Like obviously, you can see the energy difference between when I play something like Chrono Trigger, or even this morning when I was playing Skull Hero, and when I play something like Fortnite, right? Like when I'm playing something with other people that are in the world and interacting that way, I feel that energy. But yeah, it's a great game. I mean, the fact that you can play the game and you can put 30, 40, 50 hours into it, like 27 years later, and it still looks great. Yeah, totally. But just that's it. Until next July, baby.
So this has been on my backlog for years. And like everyone we talk to is like, what's on your backlog? Well, my favorite game is Chrono Trigger. Like everybody, always Chrono Trigger. And it's a game that I haven't played. Now that I've seen you play a lot of it, I'm not going to play it for a while. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm not about to go back and play Chrono Trigger anytime soon. I'll say that much.
Well, speaking of which, like, you're the game that has now been associated with you as a human being. Where
Okay.
are you at with Mario and plus Rabbids?
Oh my gosh. I I turned a corner. So I talked a lot of smack about this game on our last cast, and I was like, okay, I'll give it another shot. I went down the Mario plus Rabbids hole to the point where I was walking through Target a couple days ago thinking about potential like builds of teams. Like how can I put this together? How can I make it happen? So I kind of went crazy on this game. I saw credits today. I have finished this game in the last week. I think
Dr.
I
C, Dr. C would be so happy because I talked to him the other day, and he said that when he heard your initial review of Mario plus Rabbids, he said if there was a way that he could have called into the cast to complain about your perspective on this, he would have done it because he believes that it is one of the greatest games for the Switch out right now. Clearly, now you're starting to come around to that fact.
so yeah, like so I think it's a very good game. I think it's flawed. I don't know that I'd put it up there with one of the greatest games on Switch. Dr. Z, fight me. Where you at, bro? Let's go. It's not one of the greatest games. It has some really, really glaring faults in it. As soon as you lose a team member, there's no way to Phoenix down and bring them back. In this game's defense, you are only playing each battle scenario, and once you get through it, you just move on to the next one, and all your characters are revived. In between battles, there's no way to heal your party. Every once in a while, you can pick up like a mushroom that'll give you a little bit of a health boost, but there's no way to top off your character's health. So essentially, if you get into this place where you lose a character and then you go into the next battle and you're wounded, you're going to lose that character again. And it's like you're not really starting on even playing fields, right? And sure, could I go back to the castle and resave? Of course I could. But this game is a little bit, it's been released since then, right? Like there's improvements since this game has been released. I think this is probably one of, by the end of it, this is up there with XCOM. I think that this is a more forgiving game than XCOM. I've been giving this a lot of thought in terms of like, what do I like more, XCOM or this? And this game is a lot more user friendly. It's not as punishing, right? XCOM is no XCOM or Fire Emblem, you know, a top down tile based strategy game. Those games are kind of permadeath. So you go in, you lose a character, you can't revive them or bring them back until you restart the game or reload a save. This game is a little bit more forgiving. You lose a character, no worries, it'll come back next round. There was a time about 60% of the way through this game where I was running with a build that I thought I could make work, and I just time and time again could not make it work the way I wanted to. In other words, I couldn't perfect one of the levels. You know, I was consistently getting a fair or poor on each one of those levels, and as soon as I switched that out for another character, like it all came back together, and the synergy was pretty impressive. This is a good game. For the price of $20, this game is a buy it for me. Like, I would say buy this game if you can get it for $20. At $60, it's try it. It's check it out. But I will say this much. This game has allowed me to fall back in love with my Switch. And by that, I mean this game is perfect for the Switch in handheld mode, because you go in, you play a level, you turn it off, and then put it away, and you can come back to it like every 20 minutes, and you're not going to be impacted by starting and stopping. Like the levels are so well built and the tactics are so well surfaced that you can see the majority of what's going to happen on each one of these maps. So it's really well done. It's really well designed. And what it's had me thinking of is, what does this next game look like? And if you're watching the stream, that's what's playing in the background. This is not base Mario plus Rabbids. This is the next game in the series that's coming out very, very soon. And they're changing some of it. It's not tile based, it's more movement based. So you can move in like a circular pattern rather than a tile based pattern. And it looks like it shares some of the DNA. But after watching this trailer of the next game, I'm concerned that they're going to miss the mark a little bit, to be honest with you. And the thing that frustrates me about that is the base game has so much potential to be great that I think if there were a few tweaks here and there, it could be like one of the greatest games ever made.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we can really trust this opinion, because this is literally what you said about the first iteration. So we'll have to see. I mean, what were your thoughts on the roster? Because one of the complaints that I always have about Mario-based whatever games that are not Mario, like Mario Kart or Mario Strikers or any sort of game where there's a roster of characters, is that Mario type games, they don't tend to have enough characters to choose from.
Yeah, so this game has a total of 8 characters. It has Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and then their Rabbid variants for a total of 8. All the characters are very different, which I think is appropriate. They all feel very different, and all their tactics are very, very. Some of them complement each other and some of them do not. So me trying to like mash some of these together, it's like, oh, that worked. Oh, that didn't work. So I think that a roster of 8 in this style of game makes sense to me. You know, if you go back and you look at an XCOM, they're going to give you a whole bunch of units, but a lot of those are going to be the similar types, right? Same thing with Fire Emblem. You're going to have your knight, your peasant, your knight. Did I already say knight? Yes, I did. I can only come up with 2. So for that reason, I think that they're doing okay with 8 people. I would imagine that this next game has more. This we're kind of coming to the end of the trailer if you're watching the stream, and they have a couple more characters they're adding and what looks like their rabid variants. So they're gonna have more players in the field. This game comes out next month, October 20th. That's like a month and a half from now. But yeah, I turned the corner on this game. I would say buy it, especially because if you look it up, it's on sale or used for $20, and that's a buy all day.
Wow, I don't think I've seen such a turnaround in my entire life. I mean, there was like 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago, there was some major hate going on, and now you've really turned it around.
I've been staying up until like 1 in the morning playing this silly game. Like it's way better than it should
How,
be.
how high on your list do tile-based strategies? Because I haven't played many of them before. How high do they rate for you, just as a category?
What was the one that was made by the people that did FTL? It was
Oh,
Teams of Three. It was on Switch. That was one of my favorite games that year. I'm not gonna. We could look it
we
up.
can't. We could look it up. We do have the power machine here. We could go in and go.
The developer subset, I'm guessing. Into the Breach is the game I'm thinking
Oh, I
of.
love that game. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of that game.
yeah, that game was fabulous, and that would be where I would go for tile-based strategy. Is like just the way that they made it so simple yet complicated. Like all of these people have specific moves, and as you like peel back layers of the onion, you're like, oh, now we can do this. And there's some similarities between that and Mario plus Rabbids for sure. I think when I finally hit my stride on Mario vs. Rabbids, I found the ability to kind of hit a character, and then when you hit them the next time, you could actually pull health off of them. And
Oh,
what that did is it flipped the script because it allowed me to actually heal characters. Whereas before I was very I was hiding a lot, right? I was trying to be conservative with my health. And after I flipped the script, it got better. Into the Breach, great game. Like love it. Is that
well, we always find that one game mechanic, right? Like whenever it doesn't matter what type of game it is, where you're like in that weird like slogging middle territory, and then you're just waiting for the ice sword, right? You're waiting for the ice sword, or you're waiting for whatever it is, the double heal or the
freaking ice
whatever.
sword, man? Not the freaking ice sword.
Not the ice or whatever it is, but it turns your game around. Like at that point, everything becomes easy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I hit that. Like there's definitely some OP builds that I got to later in game, and that was fun. Like I felt like I broke the game on the back end, and that was just a blast. Like there would be times that I would have my character shoot off like 8 to 9 shots before the enemies even like pulled a trigger, and that was pretty satisfying. But
I love
yeah,
that.
I'm enjoying it. I turned the corner. You played a little Skull Hero this morning.
I did, and I sort of regret doing it.
Are you back? Are you back?
I sort of regret doing it. I mean, I really like that game, and honestly, it's just irritating to me that I can't get end credits. But I forgot that I might not play that tomorrow. I might play something more competitive and fun, like maybe Mario Strikers. Because the thing with Skull Hero, so if you don't know about Skull Hero, essentially the game is, I guess the term is roguelike, and I had not heard that term before, like 3 years ago. I didn't even know what that was, but you start off as a level 1 and you keep dying. And every time you die, you unlock experience and you can get more things to make it easier until you unlock everything and you get to the end of the game. Very similar to that of like Hades. And the component that makes Skull Hero interesting is that you can unlock these skulls. So every time you do a playthrough, you get a random skull. Sometimes it's a common skull, sometimes it's a rare skull, and sometimes it's a legendary skull. And you can swap back and forth between those two skulls. So you can hold up to 2, and you can upgrade them, and you can pick up items, and you have to work your way through 5 stages. And but what I had forgotten was that it takes a long time to like have a run through to the end. So maybe
Oh, really?
not a game, because like I had to jump off early this morning because my son woke up, and I was through stage 2 of 5, and I was already at the 25-minute marker. So like in order for me to do a perfect run through all of them, which I've never done, and beat the final boss, which I've gotten to once, um, it would have taken me 45 minutes to an hour just for one playthrough. So,
Mhm.
but the game itself is really fun. There's a lot, the variety comes with all of these different skulls. And like I said, you can do combos and you can switch back and forth between the two different skulls. You can upgrade them. You get these different special abilities, like these ultimates that you can rain down swords on everyone. And that feels pretty satisfying. There are times where there's like this scene right here that you're looking at on the trailer is like, there's so much VFX going on the screen that I'm like, I don't even know what's happening right now, right? Like, because it's just there's all this light, like everything is everywhere, all this blue, yellow, red light. And you're like, dude, what am I fighting right now? But I've almost beat the game, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that until I can have like a 2 hours to play it. It's fun
Yeah,
though.
I was gonna say, like, this game has a really cool art style to it, and I know that this game is very reminiscent of other roguelikes that I've played. And I know in other roguelites similar to these, at least what it looks like, is I would get to that point at the end boss, like get up to him 3 or 4 times, be like, okay, I'm done. Like I don't need to beat the boss, but you can do it, Phil. I believe in you. I believe in you.
I don't know because I think that you and I are very, very similar in our interests and the way that our mind works. And I feel the same way. Like, if I have a really good 45-minute run through a game and I get to the final boss and then like I get smoked by this combo that I can't figure out, I'm like, well, it's going to be another 6 months before I can get back here. So by the time I get back here again, I'm going to forget what that combination was and I won't have it memorized. But it's really fun. I mean, I put a lot of hours into the game. Um, and it's definitely worth playing. I don't even know how much it is, but I think it's only like $19, $15, something like
Nice.
that. But it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it for sure.
Nice. So you can check that one almost off your list after you beat it tomorrow. Oh my gosh. I felt so bad for you on that Chrono Trigger stream when you're just like, we're gonna beat this tonight. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel. I'd be like, right, we've been doing. Here's what I will say, like a little pat on the backs to us here at the podcast. Like, we've been working really hard, and we've been putting out a lot of streams and Hitman streams and Pokemon pack openings and Chrono Trigger and Fortnite and all these different things. And I feel so happy with what I'm doing and what we're going, but we're still learning and we're still growing. And so that initial, I had done my research and I had hardwired into the internet. And so then to go on a 4 hour session and pretty much like 2 hours of it is not really salvageable content. I know that you worked some magic, but there was pretty much most of it. And then like to go on and be like, oh, it's only 1 to 2 hours. Looking at you, Casey. Only 1 to 2 hours, and like I'm 4 hours in, and I'm like, dude, I'm not even in the final form yet, and it's 11:30 at night, and I need to be in bed because it's not a Friday night. I'm old and I'm
Oh my
tired, and I want to go to
gosh.
bed. So
I gotta
yeah,
wake up in the morning.
it was a slog for sure.
Have
It
I
was
ever told you the story about me playing Kingdom Hearts 3?
no, no,
So
but I want to hear it.
it's buried in an old episode somewhere, but I'll basically give you the shorthand. So essentially, like I got to this game and I'm just ready for this thing to be done. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 is very Final Fantasy set, like Final Fantasy, like, oh, this character that you met 3 games ago is doing this to me and da 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 da. So I'm just like, okay, let's just get through this, right? So dialogue, clicking through cutscenes galore. So I'm playing this game, right? So let's say I start at 9 o'clock. My goal is to beat this thing. I go into like 11 o'clock, right? And around 11 o'clock hour, I'm like, I might be able to beat this. I'm close. And then all of a sudden, I go to save the game to be done for the night, and it just spins. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Autosave, no autosave for like the last 90 minutes. Go to save, nothing. The game won't save. So what do? I decide I'm going to have to beat this game tonight. Because if I don't finish this game tonight, I am not going back to play the last 90 minutes, nor am I going to see this all the way through. So I slogged through this game for another 90 minutes, and it was like 1 or 2 in the morning when I turned off the Xbox, and I was infuriated by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, that's so funny. But like, I guess the moral here is like, don't listen to yourself or to anyone when they tell you how long a game is going to be. Because I had my last experience on that was, I thought I was in the last town in Red Dead Redemption 2. And
Yeah.
so a friend of mine was like, "Oh yeah, you're probably only 2 hours away." So I sat down to play it. And my family was out of town, so I get these long sessions to play video games, and I 7 hours later, they there's end stories and extra end stories and extra things and missions you got to do, and my eyes were so itchy and so on fire because I just can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like I gotta just play a few rounds of Fortnite and just be happy with it. Like I can't do the 12-hour beat Halo in one sitting type
Right.
gameplay anymore. But yeah, it was 7 to 7.5 hours later of content, and I was in the end game, and I'm like, dude, it was dark outside. I hadn't eaten. I was that guy, right? That evening, like I haven't eaten anything. I'm in sweats. I'm sweaty. This is not a good look for anybody.
Yes, we're
So
outside Philip's house where apparently he passed away. Turns out he forgot to eat because he was playing video
yeah,
games.
because a friend told me it was 3 hours. It wasn't 3 hours. It was eight.
Oh, too funny. Well, that's kind of what we've been playing this week. We're gonna move into what we used to call a news segment. We're just gonna hit things that we want to talk about. If it's game related, cool. If it's not, cool. The thing that's on the top of my mind right now is that PAX is this weekend, baby, and I am headed up to PAX. I'm gonna be there on the Monday of Labor Day. It's gonna be in Seattle. I'm jacked. I'm so excited.
I think it's gonna be fun. I mean, I've never been to a PAX before. I have been to Comic Con, but what are you excited for at PAX the most?
Just walking through the floor is by far my favorite. You know, they used to do these incredible builds and spend way too much money on expos, build statues and stuff of that nature. It felt like it's been a little tame the last 2 years in comparison to years past. So I'm excited to like see if they're starting to build back and make it bigger and better and badder. Rabbids is going to be there. We saw Shovel Knight announce that they might have a title there as well. It's also good to get eyes on a lot of the indies and kind of see what they're doing, as well as some of the board games. Like there's a lot to see there. And you haven't been to PAX?
I've never been to PAX. I will say that the one year that Illegal and I went to Comic Con, there was a whole floor dedicated to, well, it wasn't dedicated to, it just morphed into this over time, but it was all different versions of Settlers of Catan. We were actually just talking about this the other night. All different versions, a Star Wars version of Settlers of Catan, and the whole floor was just people playing Settlers of Catan, and it was really it was a crazy experience. Yeah, just to walk around, just to feel the energy of like everyone's super excited to be there and going and looking at the comics and doing all that kind of stuff. So those types of events are always really, really fun.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna guilt you. You're coming next year. We're gonna guilt you into coming next year.
That is a
That's
roger
happening.
that. I will definitely be there next year.
Mark your calendar now. We're gonna make it happen. So I'm stoked, and I know that I think it was last week we covered a lot of things that had to do with Gamescom. That was last weekend. So one of the stories that I pulled that I thought was kind of interesting is this game we talked about last week called High on Life. And you can see the article here from IGN. They say that this game unexpectedly stole Gamescom. And this quote lifted from the article says that High on Life has seen over 24 million video views and a staggering 56 million impressions.
This
What?
is I think it's
What?
well deserved.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, have you seen some of the clips that have been coming out? They've had these little different clips on Twitter of just like the dialogue bits, and the writing is
Oh,
so funny. It is so funny. It's like it's a breath of fresh air for video games. I often quote it back to the one gun they had in Borderlands. I think it was the original that would talk to you while you were shooting it. It was the machine gun, and it would just talk. But all of them do that, and it's just this is. I'm not excited for a whole lot of games, but this is one that I'm absolutely excited for sure.
this feels like it's gonna hit hard. Like honestly, there's some people out there, and I feel like comedy is very hard to do in video games. And for them to succeed and get this kind of pull on the website, on IGN's website, it really like shows you what this game could potentially do. Obviously, the creators of Rick and Morty have a huge following, and I thought that this could potentially be one of those niche titles. But I think this could be like this could be a lot bigger than I anticipated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that people, I mean, I can't speak for people. I can only speak for myself. And, I mentioned this last week where I'm just kind of tired of the same franchises. Like, I know they're going to do another God of War, and I know that it's in a new universe, and I loved the last one. But like, we're tired of the same characters, and we want to see some new IPs, and we want to see some brand new storylines and some brand new environments, and not just like, man, there's only so many Mario games I can play. Like there's only so many times I can recycle it. I'm super excited for this game. I think it's going to be, the writing is funny. I think the combat's going to be interesting. It looks violent. It's going to be, I'm there on launch day for sure. The question that I have is, and I asked this to Dr. Z, is, am I going to need a new Xbox? Because I have a 1S. And that is an interesting question for, I think, a lot of people is, we're in this place where you can't really get your hands on a console. I gave up on trying to get a PS5 a long time ago because I've always been a PlayStation guy. But yeah, am I going to need a new console? I haven't. This is a game, and the other trailer that I showed you, Atomic Heart, which we can look at another time. Those are the type of games like this game and that game that you go out and buy a new console for. You go like, okay, this is a console like purchasing worth
System seller.
game. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my Xbox One X, I have gone back and started playing on my Xbox launch, and it's a noticeable difference. Like the load times are probably tenfold what they are on the XX series.
What's the launch that you have?
It's an Xbox One launch, so it's before the SX. It was the PS4. It was the PS4 era.
Oh, Xbox. I see.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It's the one that has the pass through.
Oh wow, that's a tank, man.
Look at that.
Holy cow.
See, I don't even need a murder weapon. I just carry this around when I feel intimidated. Good to go.
Well, I mean, there just comes a point, right, where one of the main reasons why we used to buy new systems in the past was because there was such an improvement on graphics between PS1 and PS2, PS2 to PS3, PS3 to PS4. There's these huge leaps graphically, doubling. But then there comes a point where it's like, I can't even, like, I don't know, I can tell the difference, right? Like, but like, I also am just like kind of happy with what I have right now.
I kind of had this realization when I was watching some of the footage from The Matrix, kind of in Unreal 5. I don't know if you saw that. It came out probably 6 months ago or so.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and they were like, "Look, you can see see the skyscrapers, and in the building is each room. Each room is specifically built out." I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and look in like floor 35, 5 windows in, and be like, "Ooh, that one has pink walls," So like, if there comes a point where they can use that graphical capability to actually make me care, I'm in. Right now, I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that we're in such a weird place where everyone's been searching for that system seller, and these games are looking good. I mean, some of these games are looking like this might be the thing. This might be the thing.
I would say my one game changer, if you have not upgraded to a system that has suspend mode, that has been a game changer for me. Like being able to like pause a game, hit the button, go back to Netflix, watch Netflix, and be like, okay, we're done watching, and then jump back into the game without any load is pretty darn impressive. And
I don't think I've done that, so that it might be time for me then.
It might be time for sure. Like having no load screens to like pop up your game is pretty refreshing. Like if you die and reload, of course you're gonna have to see a load screen. Well, not always, depending on what you're playing, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. The first time you start to integrate it, you're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Got it.
It's everything we dreamed of.
It's everything we dreamed of. I pulled the story with Snoop Dogg and Eminem's NFT act from the VMAs. Not much to say there, but what are we doing right now? What?
Well,
Eminem and Snoop NFT dance? No, get out of here with that.
well, it's like it's whenever there's a new technology, right? Because we have this new hologram technology, and
Yeah,
like everybody wants to make like you got. It takes a little while to weed out what's gonna be worth it and what it's actually gonna be used for. Right now, everybody's just jumping on it. Like I said to you before the stream, like if this was a music video, I would have been like, "What is going on here?" Like it adds a little bit of credibility to the fact that they're trying to do something digital in front of a crowd. Like I get that, but still, yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
yeah. I'm more like appalled than anything. Like honestly, like Eminem, mad props. Snoop, you earned it. Like you two are gods of the rap industry. What are you doing NFTs on the VMAs? Like get out of here. Like take all your street cred and go home. What are you thinking? That's not
It's
gangster.
it's too over my head. It's too over my head. I'm just looking at it like a music video, going like, what's going on here?
That's where I'm at. What do we go? What's going on here? So we're winding down. We got about 10 minutes left. What do you want to cover? We have a couple of questions we can dive into. We can play Guess That Game, which I definitely want to do. I have a wife sneaking in behind me, and it's kind of creeping me out. You're now on the internet. Okay.
Forever.
No comment. I was gonna make moving forward. So what do you want to do? You want to cover
Yeah,
one of these questions?
yeah, we can either cover one of the questions,
go.
or maybe we could jump right into the guess the game because that might take 10 minutes.
I'm so jacked for this.
I know. I found it
Bill.
earlier today. I had been wanting to do a segment like this for some, chat interaction. And so the name of the game is Guess That Game or Guess the Game. And you get 6 different slides and you have to search for a game and submit it based on only on the screenshot. So this is where we would use the chat's help down the road. And it's just like Wordle. So they will have a new one every single day. And yeah, I think we should just go for it.
So is this? I guess it's from somewhere in the game, right? It's like a cutscene. Excuse me. It's a cutscene of some kind, I would imagine.
I think that all 6 slides are from the same game. I think that that's what it is, and you get 6 chances to try to figure out the game.
Okay.
So I think that that's what it is because I didn't want to wreck this segment by doing this one and knowing the answer. So I genuinely don't know what it is, but I think it's all 6. So I'm going to tell you what I guessed and it was wrong.
Okay.
I guessed Legend of Zelda because it looked to be like a Zelda-esque game.
That's a horrible guess.
Why do you think it's a horrible guess?
Wow, Legend of Zelda. Which Legend of Zelda would this be from? Is this
This is the best part of this segment.
This looks way better than any Legend of Zelda game. Let's just say that.
What's your guess? What is your guess?
Okay, I'm getting like Mass Effect vibes. I'm getting Red Faction Guerrilla vibes. Death Stranding also comes to mind. I'm feeling a little Death Stranding here.
Okay, so what are you going to go with? Because maybe you nail it on the first shot.
I think it's Death Stranding.
Okay, go. Let's see what it is.
You got some hills there, though. You got some hills going around.
So then you just click in the white box and you just type for it.
No. Oh, look at that. It even populates it for you. Okay.
Oh my god.
Boom, baby. Look at that.
Got it. That's it. That's the game.
Easy game. Nailed it.
Oh
First try. That's all net, baby. Did you hear it swish on the way down? That was crazy. One guess, baby. One guess.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited for this segment, and I'm really sad that I got it on the first one. Do I get to see the other ones? Do I need to reload so we can see other screenshots?
Yeah, I don't know if it links to your Google profile or not, but you can look at the other screen. I don't know if you can or not. Maybe just be like Wordle, but
we're gonna go incognito. Okay.
So then just guess what I had guessed.
Legend of Zelda.
Or just put
Wind
in whatever.
Waker.
Yeah.
That's definitely Wind Waker vibes. Oh, see, this would have thrown me. This looks like
because when I saw this screenshot, I guessed Resident Evil.
Did you?
That was my guess with this.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, this would have given me Metal Gear vibes. Yeah, that dude, that guy, he's an actor, dude.
Yep.
That would have done it. That would have done it. I nailed it on the first time. Wow, way to ruin Phil's segment. Hello, welcome to our final segment, ruining Phil's segment.
Well, hey, maybe what we have to do with future episodes is do this one first, in case we get it right straight away, just to get the mind going. I can't believe you nailed it. You literally nailed that game just from looking at some gray hills. Like
have you played Death Stranding at all?
I never played Death Stranding.
You'll never forget those gray hills.
Well, clearly neither did you.
No, because that game was on my backlog. I tried to play it, and it was like, nope. I'm just running through these hills, up and down, all around, all the time.
Oh, what a fantastic way to end the episode here. It's just crushing it on the first guess. So those of you in the chat that wanted to participate, too bad, because Shelby is better than you.
Tell your friends. Your friends.
Let them know we're out here guessing this on the first try.
Oh my gosh, I think that might just be a new segment for me. Like anytime I stream, I might need to go on and play that game.
Hey, that I may add it to mine as well, because you only get it for the day. So once it's gone, it's gone.
Well, also, if we wait another 3 hours, we can try again. So
hey, maybe we just stream straight through and just chat for 4 hours until we're utterly exhausted.
Let's just stream some Fortnite for 4 hours. Just a quick 4-banger. We'll be in and out. Bada bing, bada boom, baby.
I love it. Well, do you want to tackle one question here to wrap it up?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so the question that I had for you towards the end of the day is something on a more serious note. It's like, what, right? Gaming is when we were young, right? When we were younger, gaming was not what it is right now. And it was really something that was for kids and a more of a niche that a certain group of people really did. And then I think really for me in the Halo days, like when Halo came out, people started realizing what this could be, that it could be taken seriously. And it kind of took off from there. So my question for you is, like, what was the moment or moments or one moment that solidified gaming as a permanent hobby for you for the long term?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it vividly. I was in college and I was playing games, and Halo was around, and there was a lot of really good games at that time. But when I picked up BioShock, the original BioShock, and if you have you played through BioShock before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
It was super dark.
Super dark and like very adult, but that moment where you are like 60 or 70% of the way through and it turns with one catchphrase that has been used the entirety of that game, and you don't get it until that last third of the game, like that was like, oh my gosh, this medium can do something unlike any other medium. Like I am going through, taking action, thinking that like, okay, I'm in control of the situation. It's a game, right? So I mean, there's only so much control you really have. I get that, but like you are essentially making actions, and for them to flip the script and be like, no, we were messing with you the whole time, was just like.
Yeah, there was another moment like that, right? It was like in Knights of the Old Republic when you did that for the first time. The same thing. You made all these choices, and then you got to the end of the game and you realized things were not what they were, and then you were like, "Oh, what do I do?" Like, oh man, this is totally changes the way that I think about. Yeah, gaming is just such an immersive experience. I think for me, mine was playing StarCraft 2, and for me, I think that when you're young and you are struggling a little bit to figure out what you're going to do, you need some victories. And I was even more antisocial than I am now. And StarCraft 2 allowed me, they innovated the sort of ranking system with the bronze, silver, gold. I hadn't seen anyone really do that. Them and League of Legends were kind of doing that at the same time. And when StarCraft 2 came out, and I got hooked up with the Day 9 community, and I was like learning and studying how to play the game and like learning build orders and developing this sense of competency, I just became so integrated with what I was doing that I was like, this, I don't know that I could have this type of experience in any other way. Because there was a big, you get to 21, 22 years old and you can sort of pivot, right? You can be like, well, no, I'm just not that interested in it anymore. Or you can be like, this is something that I'm going to do as a hobby. I sat down and played some Magic the Gathering this past weekend in person with real people. There are people out there that can testify. And it just made me think like, it's no different than people getting together and playing poker. It's no different from people going and watching sports, right? It's just a collective way to connect with your friends. And yeah, there's nothing quite like it, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. And Silent Man in the chat just says that we went from story to couch co-op to competitive. Yeah, baby, we're hitting it all. We're gamers for everyone. It's nice to see you, Silent Man. Thanks for hanging out. One other thing that I'd like to add to that, kind of in that same line of thinking, is, when I was a younger man, kind of I'm out of college, so I'm going to be professional. I kind of like hid my gamer. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't tell people that I was a gamer. I wouldn't lead with it. It'd be the last topic of conversation unless somebody brought it up. Then it was like, oh yeah, we're going deep. And what I've come to realize is that I tried to force myself to do fantasy football. I tried to track the basketball when it was popular. I tried to play like the NCAA bracket when it was hot. And guess what? At the end of the day, it's just a different hobby. And I like for a while there, I kind of like, no, I don't game. Like gaming is a thing. It was like something that I wouldn't bring up. And now that I'm an older person, it's like, no, this is what I do. I don't watch Sports Center. I can't tell you what position the Mariners are in right now, and unapologetically so. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to play Mario's versus Rabbids, and you're just going to get along with it. I'm going to do me, you do you. And I think that's where everyone needs to be, is just yum your yums,
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And look, it doesn't mean like because I've kind of grown the same way. I thought about this a lot with sports, especially because there was a time that I was really, really into it, or like, but like I think for me with traditional sports, right? There's constantly new players. They don't keep teams together anymore, and it became so difficult for me in my 20s to just even remember like, oh, who's on the team this year? Oh yeah, okay, next year they're going to be completely gone. And it's not that as I got older, sports don't have value. But to your point, like there are things to me that were more engaging than that. And it was the same for me as well. As I got older, I just found more productive ways to integrate those hobbies. But yeah, and when people find out, right, that you're into something, and then you're just unapologetically into it, especially as a middle-aged guy, like they feel a sense of confidence. I walked out to the mailbox, and these the babysitters were out there and they were watching my son while he was like the neighbor babysitter, and I was telling them about our podcast. And I said I had played Chrono Trigger. And of course, the response whenever you tell anybody that you played Chrono Trigger, who is anybody at all, doesn't matter what age you are, it's like, oh my God, well, that's the greatest game ever, right? So this is the response that I got. But it was more than that, right? Because there was this sense of like, this person's into something and they're into it unapologetically. And now I can feel confidence just to be into the thing that I'm into. And if it comes to a point where that thing is over, that you're no longer into that, that's okay too. But I think that people feel like, to your point, they feel like ashamed, or they don't want to show it, or they want to, right? And then when you come out and you show them like, hey, this is cool, we're just doing this, we're having fun, we're not doing anything wrong, then people feel the confidence to do it themselves. And that is where people need to be, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an exciting time, and one of the reasons I'm so excited about gaming in general is that this is a new medium in the entire spectrum of humanity. Like this is something that we have not seen in like 3 generations ago. It wasn't even thought of. You think back to Pong in those early days, and where we're at now is like we're actually able to simulate the human experience and really dive into philosophical choice with some of these titles, and that is something that has been unparalleled in history. And that's what excites me, is that each one of these games that I'm trying to play through has a different aspect to it that puts it at the top of its class in some way, shape, or form. And trying to figure out what that nugget, what that gem is really kind of why I love gaming in general. Like it's just such a cool experience to be able to go into a game like Mario plus Rabbids and be like, this game is garbage. Like there's way better versions of this out there. Don't even bother. Don't even spend your time if it's on sale.
Clip it.
And then a week later, I've put in like 30 hours into this game and just saw credits today. Like I have turned 180 on that game. I'm still going to go heads up with Dr. Z because it's not the best game ever made. And I have to disagree with him on principle at this point. But it's a good game. Games are awesome, guys.
They are awesome, and you should play them.
You should play them. And you should definitely come back and hang out with us. We are going to try to do this every Tuesday. Next week is going to be a little off cadence for us. We're going to do an episode on Wednesday, I think. We have a special guest coming in. Phil, I know you've been doing some morning streams. I don't know if you're planning on doing those this week, but know that our channel is constantly hot, and we want you to be a part of it when we're streaming.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I do plan on being back on in the morning. I don't know that maybe I'll play Fortnite tomorrow. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I need to just get my day started off right with a 10 kill win, my solo win, which will be dedicated to you because I wouldn't have picked this game back up if you hadn't said, hey man, you should go re-explore this again. So you get the credit for that.
Have you not solo won yet?
No, you saw I did 8 hours of streaming and don't do that. Don't do that.
Dude,
yeah, I know, like, let's be real.
You're a much better player than I am, and I have a solo win under my belt.
I know that you weren't putting up the numbers I was putting up. Okay, let's be real.
Let me be honest with you. I guarantee I was not putting the numbers up that you were putting up. I will put money on it. Like, I know for a fact that happened, and somehow I still have a victory royale. So
that puts you on the top of this 2-person leaderboard.
Keep chasing that dragon. I don't know. You're probably life kill. Anyway, let's not compare stats. That'd be embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, no one wants to see that.
But yeah. So is there anything else you want to cover before we say goodnight?
No, I think we're ready to wrap it up. It's everybody's bedtime. We're getting old.
Yes, it is. And if you want more of us, feel free to follow us on our social channels. Those will be in the attached description wherever you're watching or reading. We have a Discord. Please join us there. We're always talking about games. We're dropping stuff in that chat left and right. Please start the discussion or have the discussion with us. We're on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Come see us wherever you'd like to. If you're listening to an audio version, we would love it if you'd leave us a review. So if you would kindly do that, we'd appreciate it. 5 stars if you'd be so kind. That is a wrap for this week. And we're out.
Good night.
Play your games, y'all. Bye.